everybody, welcome to Gluten Free for All TV. The Mongolian beef at P.F. Chang's is probably my favorite item on the menu. I've managed to get the recipe here, and believe it or not, with one small change, you can enjoy a gluten-free version from the comfort of your own home. So first we need to start off with a piece of flank or skirt steak. A nice thick piece will do. Flank or skirt steak is generally considered to be a lower grade cut of meat. However, don't be fooled by its lower cost. It's packed full of flavor and it's excellent in stir fries. We're going to cut the steak into nice, thin pieces. Before we do so, we need to cut off any excess fat and any silver skin that's left on the meat. Sometimes it can be a bit of a nuisance to remove from the meat, but just carefully work on it with a knife and discard any leftover pieces. Yep, this is looking pretty good. With a very sharp knife, cut very thin slices along the grain of the meat. The thinner you can get them, the better. This will ensure our meat is nice and tender, it cooks through really well, and actually gets nice and crunchy. I know it all depends on the size of your steak, but if you can cut them into about 2-inch strips, this would be perfect. If you have a thinner steak, try cutting at a slight angle. This will increase your surface area and make your pieces a bit bigger. Now that we have our beef done, we'll now need to pre-cook it. So grab a clean bowl and add about a half a cup of cornstarch or corn flour. This is going to act as our batter and make our beef really crispy. Piece by piece, you're going to dredge each piece of meat in the corn flour, making sure that it's completely coated. Just lay each piece out on a cookie rack and continue coating until all your beef's done. Great, now that we have that done, let's move to our wok and get this heated. If you don't have a wok, no problem. This can be done easily in a frying pan as well. Whichever pan you use, get it nice and hot and add a few tablespoons of canola or vegetable oil. When the oil gets nice and hot and starts to smoke, you want to add the beef piece by piece. We're going to cook this in batches, maybe 4 or 5 pieces at a time. You don't want to add too many pieces at the same time because it'll create too much moisture and you're just going to be stuck with a big mushy mess. So you just need to be patient and do a few at a time. Cook between 3 and 5 minutes until they get nice and crispy and golden brown. I forgot to mention you probably want to have your fan on and your windows open because it can get quite smoky at times. Now you don't want to be setting off your fire alarm. Once they're looking done, just set them aside on some paper towels so they absorb some of the oil and then start on your second batch. If you seem to be getting a lot of extra crumbs and batter in your pan, don't worry. Just carefully wipe it out with a piece of paper towel, add a little bit more oil, and start over. Cooking the beef is probably the most time-consuming part of this recipe, so if you think you're going to be strapped for time, closer to the time you'd like to eat, you can make your beef up ahead of time, so all you have to do prior to eating is just make the sauce. So here we go. Our beef is nicely well cooked, it's brown, and it's crispy. Let's move on to our sauce. Similar to your beef, you can prepare these ingredients all ahead of time. You need about 1.5 tablespoons of chopped ginger, 1.5 tablespoons of chopped garlic, about 1 tablespoon of chili peppers, 3/4 cups of brown sugar, and about 1/3 to 1/2 cup of gluten-free soy sauce. You're also going to need about 1/2 cup of water. You don't need to, but I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of thinly sliced carrots to my recipe, and some green onion. In the same pan, add 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil and heat to about medium. You don't want the oil too hot because you don't want to burn your ingredients. To the oil, we're going to add our crushed ginger, our crushed garlic, and our chili peppers. This is going to give off an amazing aroma. I recommended using about 1 tablespoon of chili peppers, but if you wanted it a bit spicier, add a few more, or less if you don't like it so spicy. You want to cook this until it's just soft. You don't want this to burn. After a couple minutes or so, add your gluten-free soy sauce. If you're using a light or mild gluten-free soy sauce, 1/2 cup will do. If you're using a stronger flavored Tamari soy sauce, only use about 1/3 cup and balance the rest out with water. You need 1/2 cup in total. Then to your mixture, add 1/2 cup of water, and finally, your brown sugar. We're going to give this a good mix until our brown sugar is nicely dissolved. About a minute or so will do. Now that our sauce is hot, it's time to add our beef. Because we've already pre-cooked our beef, we don't have to let it cook too long. The corn flour coating on the beef alongside the brown sugar are going to form a nice thick glaze, which is going to be the base to this amazing dish. Continue to cook the beef for another 2 to 3 minutes. Your sauce will start to thicken up and create a nice glaze that will stick to your beef. At this stage, when it starts to thicken, you can add some julienne carrots or some chopped green onions. Let cook for another minute or so and then remove from heat. If you don't like carrots, you don't need to add them, but definitely do try to add the green onion. It does make a big difference. Give this a good toss, cook for 1 more minute, and voila! You're done! Serve with rice, noodles, or just eat it on its own. It's so delicious. Best of all, it's way cheaper than having to buy it in a restaurant. So I hope you enjoyed that video. If you'd like to see more, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching!